You've been working hard in AP Chemistry all school year. Now it's your time to shine and slay that AP exam. There's just one problem. If you don't know the format and the rules for the exam ahead of time, you won't score up to your potential. Hi there, my name is Jeremy Krug. I've taught AP Chemistry for over 25 years, and here's everything you need to know about the AP Chem exam. Let's start with some of the things you need to do before the day of your AP exam. As you probably know, AP exams are administered through the Blue Book app provided by College Board. Well before exam day, you'll need to make sure the Blue Book app is downloaded onto your testing device. You can use a personal laptop, desktop computer in a computer lab, or a school-issued device like a Chromebook. You can use a tablet like an iPad, but you cannot use a mobile phone. Don't wait until the night before the exam to download Blue Book. Do this well ahead of time. If you're taking the exam on a school-managed device like a Chromebook, you might not be able to do this yourself. And just a heads up, the Blue Book app is pretty big. It takes up about 1 gigabyte of space on your hard drive, so on smaller capacity devices like Chromebooks, you might have to delete some files to make room for Blue Book. And speaking of devices, make sure your device is fully charged before you walk into the exam room. You'll need enough power to last through the entire 3.5-hour testing session. And bring your charger, just in case. You'll need a strong Wi-Fi signal with internet access during the entire exam. So make sure your device is connected to the internet well before starting the exam. You can bring an external mouse for your device if you'd like as well. If you're using an iPad, you'll need to bring an external keyboard for the exam. The on-screen keyboard will not work. Now, let's talk about the rules for taking the AP Chemistry exam. Make sure you know where and when you'll take your exam and get there early. If you arrive late, there's a good chance you won't be allowed in. When you arrive, you'll be assigned a seat. You aren't allowed to choose your own. You need to bring 2 sharpened number 2 pencils, and you can bring 2 pens. You should bring your scientific calculator with a full charge or fresh batteries. You can also bring a second calculator as a backup. You should wear a digital watch so you can keep track of time as you take the exam. You should also bring a photo ID, especially if you're testing at a location that's not your own school where the test administrators might not know you. There are several items you should not bring into the exam. Do not bring your cell phone, smartwatch, or any cameras. Don't bring any food, snacks, or drinks. No water bottles. Don't bring any scratch paper or highlighters to the exam. And make sure your watch and calculator won't be making any noise during the exam. Speaking of calculators, pretty much any standard issue scientific or graphing calculator that you would use in your chemistry class is okay to use on the AP exam. Just a couple of exceptions. Calculators that have a QWERTY or typewriter style keyboard like the TI-92 are not allowed. And calculators aren't allowed to communicate with each other, either through the internet or infrared ports. You can use any programs that you might have stored in your calculator. You're not required to clear your calculator's memory before the exam. You can use your calculator during the entire exam. You'll be given a paper version of the AP Chemistry equation packet, as well as a paper copy of this periodic table. It has the symbols of the elements, their atomic numbers and atomic masses, but it doesn't have their names. These will also be available digitally on the Blue Book app during the testing session. And just so you know, if you have to use the restroom during the exam, you are allowed to do so as long as you go alone. Now, let's focus on Section 1, which is the multiple choice part of the exam. Section 1 is completely digital. That means you'll see the questions on your screen and you'll click your response on the screen, completely in the Blue Book app. Section 1 has 60 multiple choice questions with 4 answer choices each. Each of the questions has 1 best answer. You'll be given some scratch paper to work out any problems that you need to, but all your answers must be selected on screen in the Blue Book app. You'll have 90 minutes to answer the 60 questions. Most of the questions are standalone questions where there's a question and then 4 choices. However, you'll also see several item sets where there's a graph, data set, or some other type of information. Then you'll see 2 to 4 questions that address that data in different ways. Make sure to answer every multiple choice question and don't leave any blank. Your score is based solely on the number of questions you answer correctly. So if you have no idea about a question, your best bet is to take your best guess and move on. The multiple choice section is worth exactly half of your AP score. After the multiple choice section, you'll have a short break where you can use the restroom, get a drink of water, but you won't be allowed to go visit your chemistry classroom or go ask your teacher any questions about the exam. You also can't access the internet, cell phones, or any other devices during the break. Section 2 is the free response section. Here you'll see 3 long questions worth 10 points each, followed by 4 shorter questions worth 4 points each. The free response section is worth exactly half of your AP score, and you'll be given 1 hour and 45 minutes for this part. That seems like a lot of time, but it goes by fast, so you'll want to gauge your time with a digital watch. The 3 long questions may be based on one general scenario or topic, but different parts of the question will draw from various units of the course. So part A might be about equilibrium, part B might be over intermolecular forces, part C might be over thermodynamics. These are rapid fire questions from various parts of the course. Don't spend more than about 22 minutes on any one of these long questions. Each of the 4 shorter questions usually focuses on 1 or 2 units, so they may seem more focused, but they're also worth only 4 points each. Don't spend more than about 8 or 9 minutes on any of these shorter free responses. A few things you need to know about the free response section. The free response section is a hybrid exam. That means you'll see the questions on the screen, but you'll write your responses on paper. Just like with the multiple choice exam, you'll have access to paper copies of the periodic table and equation packet. Always show your work. On a problem that involves computation, if you don't show your work, you won't get credit. Always give your answer with appropriate units. Remember, in science, a measurement can be meaningless unless it has a unit. And if the question asks you to use a specific unit like joules or kilojoules, make sure you use that unit and not something else. Give your answer with an appropriate number of significant figures. For most problems, this will be either 2 or 3 significant figures. When calculating, avoid rounding off too much before you give the final answer. Instead, round off only at the end of a problem. Remember that on the AP exam, you are not penalized for carry-through errors. That means that if you calculate part A incorrectly and you use your answer from part A to calculate parts B and C, you still get full credit for those later answers as long as everything else is right. So if you aren't sure about an early part of the question, that's okay. Don't give up. You can still do great on the question. When writing an essay, be specific and answer the question as asked. If the question says to explain your answer, that means you have to say why you gave the answer you did. Write clearly. Be careful with your use of pronouns. If you say it, make sure you're very clear what it is. And of course, write legibly. Make sure you read every part of every question and answer as many as you possibly can. Whatever you do, do not leave entire questions blank. This will kill your chances of a good score. If you've done even a little bit of preparation, you'll find several parts of an FRQ that you can answer. Each long FRQ is worth right at 12% of your entire AP exam. So answer as many as you can and don't leave things blank. Now, if you think you need some more preparation and review, take a look at my quick review videos for every AP Chem unit and my 103 video complete AP Chem course. And if you're serious about scoring well on the AP exam, you'll want to get my Ultimate Review Packet and Ultimate Exam Slayer for AP Chemistry with unit summary videos, study guides for daily practice, almost 1,000 AP-style practice multiple choice questions, dozens of AP-style free response questions, tips and tricks, and a total of 4 full practice exams with full solution walkthroughs. Go check it out over at ultimatereviewpacket.com. After you finish the exam, you'll be released from the exam room and you'll be able to take a deep breath and relax. 2 days after the exam, the free response questions will be posted on the College Board website. And sometime in early July, you'll be able to access your score online. So I hope you feel more comfortable with the format of the AP Chem exam and how it works. Keep practicing, and if you learned something from this video, leave a like and a comment down below if you're so inclined. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.